Welcome back to the Canadian Virtual Lawyers Conference. My name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. Happy to be moderating this half hour's panel. If you have any questions for any of the panelists, you can certainly type them in either into the stage or into the event tab, and I'll be happy to moderate. Hopefully you've been enjoying the event so far. We've got another half hour in the event, lots of great networking. I was able to get into the networking area earlier on and met some great people. And we also have this last half hour where we're going to be talking about all kinds of legal issues. So starting off the group, Stuart Dekoff is founder at E2R Employment and Labor Law. Stuart, welcome. Thanks for being here. Talk a little bit about yourself, what you do, kind of law that you practice.
Thanks, Marc. I'm, as Marc indicates, I'm an employment and labor lawyer. At our firm, we do something unique. In fact, we are an MDP. We're a multidisciplinary practice. And where do we get the multi-part? The multi-part is we bring in human resources practitioners. So we have a talented group of seasoned human resources practitioners, non-lawyers. Therefore, they get invited to more parties than the lawyers do. Better, well received, working together with employment and labor lawyers. And what we do is we provide fulsome, unlimited service to employers right across Canada. Our bailiwick at the end of the day is small to medium-sized business. Having said that, we have some major public companies on board. But what we do is everything you need from an HR perspective, whether it's that advice, what do we do in light of COVID and the statutory leaves of absence, together with employment agreements, termination letters, employee handbooks. We do performance management, job descriptions. In other words, it runs the gamut of human resources requirements from small, once again, to large. So ultimately, it's a way from a client perspective not have to be concerned about that very scary prospect of the billable hour. We do it all in for a fixed monthly fee and with the ability to move between levels. So that's what we're all about. We've been around doing this for 18 years, right across Canada.
Excellent. Well, thanks for being here. Anurag Gupta, lawyer, Anurag Gupta Professional Corporation. Thanks, Anurag, for being here. Known each other for many years. Feel free to pitch what you do and talk a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Marc. Stuart and Faye, it was nice meeting you too. So I have a microbiology immunology background before I became a lawyer. So this whole pandemic thing, it's a little close to home in the sense that when people talk about certain things, I actually do get it, what's going on. But many years ago, I decided to switch professions and from science to law. And originally I thought I was going to do patent law, but I ended up doing tax law. Go figure. So my practice focuses mostly in corporate and tax advice. We work with accountants. We work with a lot of our clients are mostly small to medium-sized businesses. We also do wills and estate for our corporate clients and real estate transactions, commercial and residential. But generally, we work most closely with the small business owners from. It doesn't matter whether you are a small business owner that's just starting out or you've grown in size. So we can help from setting up the corporation structure to restructure the corporation structure, as well as we help. We do a lot of work with the dentists as well. So we're big in the dental industry. We also do a lot of manufacturing acquisitions, sales of just. Right now I'm working on a very, very, very tiny transaction, but she's a very good client of mine. So we don't say no to people, and it's been an interesting experience the last couple of years. Like Marc said, Marc, I think we've known each other for probably 6 or 7 years or so, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So that's who we are.
Excellent. Well, thanks for taking the time, Anurag. And Faye Gelb, manager, lawyer, Daniel Gelb Law, Canadian virtual law firm, founder of Her Legal Global. Now, this is a great story because not only are you really virtual, but you're really virtual. You're outside the country. So Faye, do you want to talk a little bit about where you are and what you do?
Thanks so much, Marc. I'd like to just talk a little bit about the firm that I'm with and that we created, because I think as we're going through COVID, it's been a really a phenomenal change in how the legal profession has viewed what it can do. And up until this point, there was a lot of resistance as we ourselves faced when we set up our virtual firm with going virtual. There was a lot of resistance as to whether or not, for example, a mediation could be done virtually, or that we could be interviewing or signing documents, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel that with COVID, what we've really done is kind of kicked the legal profession into the 21st century, and we're really beginning to see some of the benefits of how we can evolve. So as this is a job fair, what I would say to people is that you can be strategic, proactive, and innovative about how you go forward, and taking some of the information that you've got from the conference today to be able to say, where do you want to place yourself for the best position for you as you move forward? And for us, what we did is we moved to Israel and we set up a virtual law firm, and we work with Canadian lawyers to provide them with the assistance, smaller firms, so that they get that hands-on assistance from more senior lawyers. And I just have to clarify, I myself am no longer a practicing lawyer because I was out too long when I was with my children. I would have to rewrite the bar. So that ended up being a big impediment to going back to practicing. Nobody wants to write the bar after being out for like 20 some years, right? So I didn't. So I practice as a paralegal and I manage our law firm. I also started Her Legal Global, which is an online virtual community for women in law, because I felt that if we had a private social network, we would be, and have it focus on skills, we would be able to have that proactive and strategic, innovative type of career path that has been missing somewhat in the legal profession. So that's basically what I do. I've combined these two different paths, I think, in order to create a new path. And I think as we go forward with COVID, I would invite questions about how we can actually change how we're seeing our legal careers into something that can really be innovative. Like I'm hearing from the men that have started the firms that are here today, you know, there's a lot of innovation that's happened. And I think, you know, the sky's the limit where we can go.
Very much. Thanks for sharing. That's great. And do you want to share where you're actually physically located, or am I putting you on the spot?
Oh, absolutely. We're in Israel and we've been here for over 10 years. Our law firm has been up and running for about 6 of those. And it's been phenomenal. I have to say COVID's been phenomenal in terms of ours. My husband was actually called to the bar in Alberta in our living room. So it's been great.
So you were really virtual before virtual became a buzzword.
Yeah, virtual before. For us, it was, you know, when COVID hit and everybody was scrambling, oh my gosh, how do we do this? What do we do? We were like, okay, well, just business as usual. So it was good for us that way.
Excellent, excellent. Well, just wanted to, if you're just joining, my name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. The panel today, Stuart Ducoffe is founder at E2R Employment and Labor Law. Faye Gelb is manager, lawyer. Daniel Gelb, law, Canadian virtual law firm, founder of Her Legal Global, and Stuart Ducoffe, and Anurag Gupta is lawyer, Anurag Gupta Professional Corporation. So maybe back to you, Stuart. Obviously, you know, it's been well documented, the changes that have happened because of COVID and working from home and so on, but you're very diverse in terms of your offerings. And how did your business take shape? Did you envision kind of changes, or did it become necessary because of the pandemic, or how did that play out with all the different services that you provide?
Well, you know, we've been on the front lines from the get-go when, you know, we all feel like grizzled veterans now since we've gone through the various waves, as it were. But at the beginning, it was pretty intense. And so given our business model, which is unlimited support, clients obviously felt a comfort to communicate with us on an ongoing, intense basis, which they did. And so as we were all learning what it meant, right, to respond to the various government programs that were available, from wage subsidies and the CERBs, and understand how those interacted with changes to our employment standards legislation, which permitted access to leaves of absence for employees, combined with what's an essential service versus non-essential. Can I operate? We still get calls today in light of the most recent changes. We distribute. We're a supplier. Are we allowed to operate? Are we only supposed to have 25% capacity? No. That doesn't apply to you. It only applies to retail. So there has been so many questions throughout this process. So we've been there, and clients are appreciative through what has been a very, very difficult period for many, many clients. And even those that have prospered have nonetheless faced very novel circumstances. As I was mentioning to you, Marc, just moments ago before we started our session, we just got a call, and this happens fairly regularly. They're a retailer, and of course a customer comes in, the customer says, I'm not wearing a mask, I'm exempt. Now, they're facing a whole variety of issues associated with that, not only legal compliance issues, potentially human rights considerations, right, but also their own staff and the other customers. So on the one hand, you're saying, I have an overarching occupational health and safety obligation. I'm sorry, I can't let you in. That's our policy. On the other hand, they feel compelled to comply with any bylaw that governs. The customer is being unreasonable. They're prepared to accommodate that customer. And you have all these parties now where we're trying to figure out how best to accommodate. So look, I'm not sure if I answered your question, but in many ways, we are facing novel situations on an intense level that we've never had to confront before. And so we've been there as a very, very sort of comforting voice to clients to direct them as to what to do and follow up with any relevant paperwork related to that strategy and advice. So in many ways, our unlimited model couldn't have been more appropriately placed for a COVID era.
Great. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, definitely interesting. And Anurag, I mean, obviously your business, the transactions, the type of transactions, the in-person, I mean, we all know about Zoom and DocuSign and things like that, but is there anything fundamental otherwise that has changed for you that, maybe you can share some tips for other lawyers perhaps, or anything that you've learned about yourself perhaps?
Well, we've gotten busier for some odd reason since COVID hit. About maybe, I think, 2 weeks after, I guess, March 17th, so towards the end of March, it's just like people were still going out and buying businesses, which surprised me. You would think that people would be parking their acquisitions, for the time being, but people were still buying businesses. We were restructuring companies, not because they were going down, but we were restructuring them for potential sales. So because we know there's exponential growth going on in those companies. But the challenge that I had was, and I'm sure a lot of law firms have the same issue, was the clerks and whatnot. They all wanted to work from home, or some of them wanted to say, you know what, I want to take my CERB benefit and not come into work. So you can't say no during the time. So, but that meant more pressure on me, more pressure on my associate, and we got the work done. And obviously in the first 2 months, it was kind of weird. Like, our offices are small enough, but large enough to accommodate people without, crossing each other's path. But working from home has created a challenge. Like today, I'm working from home. Normally, I'll be at the office because I switched my winter tires to summer tires. I didn't want to drive out on the roads. But with respect to clients, interestingly enough, and I'm sure both Faye and Stuart run into the same thing, they want everything done yesterday. It's not, some of them get it that, okay, it will take another week, we don't have the staff. I mean, some of the big law firms I've been talking to, they say they're working from home and they can't get, they don't know how to print because they never printed in their life, for example. So that's been a challenge in terms of personnel. The good thing was, since I started my practice in 2008, I always had the ability to connect into my systems wherever I was in the world, whether it was to a BlackBerry or iPhone or wherever. So that never changed. So when my staff had to work from home, it was seamless from that perspective. So that was helpful. And I know there were lawyers out there who struggled to go, they couldn't work from home at all. I was doing a transaction back in February, and the lawyer supposedly said he had COVID, or his family did, but he couldn't do anything. He couldn't log in, wasn't checking his emails or anything. And I was like, in this day and age, we're about 10 months into COVID, you should have your system set up at least to check your emails, at least. No. So that created a problem. But in terms of with the clients, if it's a good client, it's someone I know, we will do the Zoom meeting, do the signatures. And I'm sure Stuart and and Faye would probably do the same thing too in other forums as well. But it's been interesting times, to say the least. And we're all grown from this work from home and COVID, and we don't know what when it will be over.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for sharing. Anita or Faye, anything to add to anything Stuart or Anurag have said?
Well, I think that as we move forward, it's really important that we look to see what we can take from COVID, because one of the things that's happened to us is that, for example, mediators will be saying, when we get back to the old way, when we get back, and I'm not so sure that we're going to get back. I think as we move forward, we really should be trying to say, just like we were speaking about a minute ago, we want to take what's best out of what we've been able to accomplish, even though it was forced on us over this last time period, and take that forward as we move forward. So, we talk about working from home, but it can be done. It can be done in a really great way, or it can be done in a patched together way. So, what can we learn from what we've accomplished over this past, year plus? And can we really make our systems better? Can we do things that we could do more efficiently? Because there's always a push from clients to do things better, faster, and cheaper. So how can we use the lessons that we've learned here in order to do that? And I think one of the ways is definitely delivery of service. And, if we don't have to fly people places to do things, if we can do things quicker with better documents, with better location of staff, then we should be looking at doing that and not just saying, okay, COVID's over, it's back to normal.
Right. So open question to anybody, but has the Law Society been helpful, not helpful? We're expecting more, less? Like, have they kind of hit the mark for you guys?
I hear from them for 9 months in a row. I check my bank account and I see they've deducted the fees.
That's right. For the most part, you don't want to hear from the Law Society. Right? Exactly. Nobody wants to hear from the Law Society.
Yeah, no news is good news, right?
That's right. Yeah.
When we set up our virtual firm, it was not easy. We were actually doing it through BC, and the Law Society was helpful, but we had documents that basically made us into our own tech experts. We had to decide, check, and everything was basically on us to make sure all the compliance was happening. So it was not an easy process to set up. Definitely was, possible, but it wasn't easy. So I'm really hoping that with what we've had and what we've gone through over this last year, that people that want to set up a virtual law firm are not going to face the same sort of learning curve that we did.
I know last year when the pandemic hit, the Law Society actually had some interesting topics on like execution of wills, execution of commissioners, but I don't know if they've done anything in the last few months. I mean, the emails that I get from the Law Society are just generally the same, CPD programs available, but I don't know if there's been any new development on their end. Stuart, Faye?
From my end, no, I'm not aware of anything that's notable regarding the new world post-COVID, or I shouldn't say post-COVID, still during the currency of COVID. One day we'll get to say post-COVID.
So what about, you're all in firms, you're all practicing, time billing. Any new products that you've tried, that you've tested, that you would recommend, that you think other lawyers might be interested in hearing about? Anything that's been working for you, if you're comfortable sharing?
I would love to hear from people, because I bought a software, Time Matters, a few years ago to do document management, and it's been absolutely horrendous. And to the point that I've had arguments. The IT. So, Marc, I think you know me pretty well, decently enough. I'm very IT savvy. So I was talking to their tech support for 6 hours or 3 hours at a time, and they recognize that there is a defect, but the service providers, LexisNexis sold it, they spun it out or they sold it, but it's just been horrible. It's the best $3,000 I've ever spent is what I say. And so I'm open to hearing from people on document management and time management.
Stuart or Faye, do you want to add anything?
I can't. It's funny that you should say that, because it's a tangent, I suppose, to what you've just identified. But what we do, right? What our whole program on our end is a client connects with us. The way they communicate with us, they send an email into our client care team, and the call is scheduled in 24 hours. So all calls are set up with the client within 24 hours. It's done through a process of email and our client care team. Our ultimate goal is to let the client schedule themselves online. Now, the challenge is as much as our administrative people would love to do that and permit scheduling online by clients, lawyers, of course, as we all sit here, are probably saying, oh my God, but if this issue is a major issue that takes more in-depth analysis, we don't want the client just expecting the answer and setting it up maybe with a junior lawyer when it shouldn't be with a junior lawyer, it should be with somebody more senior. So we're right now a little bit in the throes of contemplating client scheduling software, because that's to some degree the holy grail of what we do, because the client becomes so convenienced by simply going online, setting up the call, away they go, right? You have in other professions as well, even dental, they'll do it, dentistry offices, etc. Some of them do. So anyway, so that's on our end. That's this idea of scheduling software that we're contemplating, but nervous about from a substantive practice standpoint.
Excellent. We have Anita Fineberg. We're having some technical issues. Sorry, Anita, with the camera and audio. If you're just joining, my name is Marc Belaiche, president of TorontoJobs.ca. I have Stuart, Ducoffe, Faye, Gelb, and Anurag Gupta who are here. You are welcome to ask questions. If you want to just throw them in the event or the stage area, and I will moderate anything you want to talk about. So we have just a few minutes left, kind of open to anybody who wants to answer, but kind of what do you see the changes over the next year, like 2 years, 5 years, 10 years within the profession? What are some changes that you can foresee happening?
So, hi,
Faye,
Marc.
you want to start?
Oh,
Sure. I see that if people, I'm having a hard time hearing over Anita.
oh, sorry. I wasn't
She's muted,
sure
so
my audio
there's no
was
noise
working.
there.
Go ahead, Faye.
I'm sorry, Anita. I'm not sure whose noise it is. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Anyway, the bottom line is I think that in the next 5 to 6 years, we could see a dramatic change in how we deliver services if we're willing to make that leap. And I think that people are just now beginning to see that, for example, big law is not the only way to have a career, and that there's a lot of different innovative ways that you can set up firms and set up delivery of legal services. So I think if the students that are coming through gather that information and process it and are willing to take that leap, we could see some really interesting and different types of law firms, and more like what Stuart has, quite frankly, a combination of a different services and more of a holistic approach instead of like a piecemeal kind of thing that we do in so many parts of our legal profession. So I'm actually quite excited about where the legal profession could go. I think COVID has been the best thing for the legal profession in years. Despite the tragedy that it is, it really has helped us.
Yeah, Anurag, you're big in technology. What are you envisioning the next 5 years to be? Shifts in technology, more shifts, automation?
See, the good thing about, having the Zoom meetings is you don't have to leave your office. But I think like everyone over here, we all got Zoom fatigued. particularly when you're doing back-to-back meetings. And initially, it was great because no one had to come to your office and whatnot. But I think you also need the client interaction. So I think it will be a combination of both. People will integrate technology into their legal practice, but I find it a lot smoother and easier when the client is sitting across from me at the boardroom table in terms of explaining things to her or him. But it can work on Zoom meetings, but I don't think, like, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of doing virtual meetings all the time with clients. It has been fatiguing to myself. It works great when you're doing just a good, like a get together where you need to just iron out certain issues or whatnot. But when you explain in legal documents, I found it challenging, particularly when you're sharing the screen with the other counsel or your client. But I do think over the years, technology will just get better. Sign-in technology will probably get better. Right now, I think there's DocuSign and HelloSign, and I don't know, there's a few others out there. And I played around with two of them. And it took me and my clerk a good 45 minutes just to put the sign here, links on the documents. So maybe with automation, it might get better. Let's see.
Yeah. Stuart, any last minute comments?
Well, I would echo Faye's remark about, we don't all have to be big firms, and a little sort of insight to the extent it's of any interest. That's where I was. I was on the 53rd floor of Commerce Court West for a number of years, and I'm watching the planes land, and I'm billing a client of about 70 employees, and it's just the hourly rate is through the roof, and I'm watching the planes land, and I go, okay, this is crazy. Something's got to change. This can't be right. There's got to be a different way. And that literally, I'll never forget sitting there looking out going, okay, I've got to change it. This isn't the way to deliver employment and human resources services. And that created the impetus to create this new design of a service offering for the marketplace. So yes, I agree with Faye. I think there are so many entrepreneurial opportunities out there. With the Law Society, perhaps could be a little bit more flexible, maybe in a lot of different contexts to permit more of that to happen. But I think ultimately that's where we're going, and it's only a good thing for the consumers of legal advice and support.
Excellent. Well, thanks to each of you for sharing your thoughts. We're just kind of wrapping up here. I want to thank everyone for coming to the Canadian Virtual Lawyers Conference. The event today has been presented by TorontoJobs.ca and TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca and powered by EventLogic.ca with a K. My name is Marc Belaiche, president of TorontoJobs.ca. The panelists, Anurag Gupta, lawyer, Anurag Gupta Professional Corporation. Anita Fineberg, we had a bit of a technical issue. Sorry, Anita. Privacy lawyer, adjunct professor, Ryerson University, founder of Health Lawyer Network. Stuart Dekoff, founder of E2R, Employment and Labor Law. Faye Gelb, manager, lawyer, Daniel Gelb Law, Canadian virtual law firm, founder of Her Legal Global. Make sure to reach out to any of them to connect. I'm sure they'd be willing to have a chat about any issue that you have, legal, client, or otherwise. How did you like the event? Let us know. We'll be sending you a survey to complete within the next 24 hours. It helps us get some information as to what we can do better, how we can work better, how we can make this event better for next time. I want to thank all the speakers and the panelists I just mentioned, but the speakers that put in a lot of their time to share their information and their wisdom, their experience with you. I also want to share or thank the team, many people behind the scenes, Alex, Rachel, Anne, Sandra, Sarah, Carla, a lot of people behind the scenes. So I just wanted to thank them as well for putting in a lot of great work. TorontoJobs.ca, if you have any staffing needs, you can email us at sales@TorontoJobs.ca. TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca, if you're looking to connect with business owners, if you're running a firm. and you want to connect with other entrepreneurs, you can visit the website, again, TorontoJobs.ca, and eventlogic.ca. If you'd like to sponsor, exhibit at, or speak at an upcoming event, visit the website, eventlogic.ca with a K. And if you'd like to have your organization and services highlighted, there are speaker, sponsor, and exhibitor options available. Please reach out or check out the website. They have a great team to promote you and your organization. And I'm just going to post in the chat here some of the upcoming events that we have, which is a lot of events coming up. There's the Canadian Virtual Presidents Conference happening tomorrow afternoon. You don't want to miss that. If you're in business, you want to network with other business owners and presidents. There is the Canadian Sell Your Business Conference that happens on Thursday, April 29th. And finally, the Canadian Virtual CFO Conference happens on Tuesday, May 11th. So reach out to us, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. There's a lot of great videos. This will also be posted there. So you can connect there. You can also connect with me as well. I'll share my LinkedIn link. I'm just posting this all throughout the event chat section, just so you know. And by the way, if you're a lawyer with healthcare law practice, perhaps looking to expand and get more clients, feel free to reach out to me. I may have an opportunity for you with a client of ours. And we also tack on an extra 10 minutes at the end of the event, so you still have some time to network through our speed networking area, visit our expo and more. I want to thank you again for coming. See you all at the next event, and stay safe.
Thanks. Bye now.
Thanks.